Discover your thread. That's what we continually talk about. And if not, you'll have too many messages and people will stop listening to you. To discover your thread, what you have to realize, it cannot start with the leadership of the church to determine what that thread is. It has to start with the audience. Effective communication rises and falls on how well you know your audience. You have to do everything in your power to know your audience. Make sure that there's a large enough group of those people, and what are their felt needs, not their spiritual needs, but the things that they're waking up in the morning and saying, man, I wish that I could do this, which is a goal, or I wish I could fix this, which is a need. And if you can become a solution to those needs or a path to their goals, and really focus in on that thread, some people call it a tagline, some people call it a positioning statement. But if you can really come up with something that's short, sweet, and really speaks to a specific audience, you will break through, and you can actually say less so that they'll listen more.
So give me some hands-on practical examples that you've seen. I know you've worked with hundreds, likely thousands of churches to help them discover their thread. And give me some practical examples of what some of those actual threads have been.
In the Houston area, Texas, there was a church that when we got in and we started talking to people, we realized in their community, all their community was there to work in the oil industry. Every one of them had crazy dreams of, Beverly Hillbillies. It's like, I'll drill in my backyard and all of a sudden this, spigot of oil will come up. And what we realized was that every person wanted a big goal. And the problem was that it wasn't happening as quickly, or a lot of people realized with the downturn that there was it was just very tough, and a lot of people were struggling. And when we sat down, one of the things that we would recommend is, first of all, demographic study of your area. That'll reveal a ton of information. There's so much big data out there right now that is fairly easy for a church to get. Like, if your church is part of a denomination, contact your denominational office, and they'll probably have a way to give you demographic information. Then I would recommend, once you hone in on a specific type of person, start talking to those people. Bring them in for focus groups. When we started talking to these people, and I don't know, like 10 or 12 people in a room, you really want to make sure that if they know you're from a church, they'll want to talk all spiritual. They'll want to make sure that, that they got the right answer, and they quote scripture and then they forget where the scripture's from. And but the thing is that, like, let them off the hook. And it's like, no, we want to know about you and your life. And what we heard was there was a crazy amount of frustration of, okay, so I've dedicated my life to doing an awful lot of things so that one day we could be successful. And what we heard over and over again, as soon as there was that, they talk about their goal and then their failure in the goal, they constantly went back to, there's got to be more. And when we started talking to the pastor and the leadership of the church, he made it really clear that he fully gets that. Oftentimes pastors struggle because it's like, wow, if I build it, they will come. Right. And we can't be grasping on to our goals to the point where our whole lives revolve around it. Like, there is more to life. And as we were talking about that, I was like, oh my goodness, just the idea of more to life, and that thread of there is more to life. The cool thing about a good thread is that it instantly communicates the type of person that your audience is. But also, as you look at all your ministries in your church, I mean, should we even talk about the amount of silos in a church, and the way that everyone thinks they're bigger and better than the other, and there's more hope and opportunity here than there is on here. And so you need to have this umbrella thread that all of the departments, the ministries in your church, they unite under that. They communicate it possibly differently, or they can even interpret it just in a way. More to life to a child is different than more to life as a senior citizen. So that's the unifying factor that oftentimes happens with a good thread. It kind of levels the playing field and allows each of the pastoral staff to try to figure out, okay, so how can we work this thread into our mix?